Welcome back from that quick breather. This is still Bryt Extra on Bryt TV. Need I remind you, we're streaming live on Facebook. You can log on there at Bryt TV and also log on to www.mybryttvonline.com. And the holiday edition, I am just in awe to be sitting next to this man I have watched years on television. I mean, Gideon Aryeequaye is Ghana's favorite, renowned broadcaster. And what would name, let me say, generation we almost this is the face that we've watched on our televisions for years. Some of the ladies were even watching him just because of his looks. And he used to be about the can. Interview be about he's a renowned broadcaster, won several awards, including the maiden edition of the RTP Awards here in Ghana, and was adjourned as the broadcaster of the year. I am honored to introduce to you Mr. Gideon Aryeequaye. Hey! Oh my God! You've not changed.
I have.
You haven't changed. On the sign, your face, your looks, your nose.
At least I've changed the looks.
Small.
You used to have this.
Now you have the
and
gray
it was
hair,
black.
and now there's the gray. You know the gray makes it more sexy.
I put this on because the hair is gone. It's virtually a motorway. So yeah, so you need to scrape everything off.
Then Sakura.
So Sakura.
Can we see the Sakura?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, anything looks better, but it's nice. It's nice.
It's Sakura.
It's been a long time we've seen you on the screen.
Oh yes. You
left us.
I haven't left you.
Because
as they say, once a soldier, always a soldier.
Always a soldier.
Yes. So you can say you're entirely off the screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's the possibility of you coming back. Probably not coming back to do what you were doing before, but still being on TV.
Right. But you have any plans of coming back?
Too many plans. Too many. I just haven't found the time.
Okay.
Yes, but too many plans.
Okay.
What I want to do is what everybody now is doing bits and pieces of.
Okay, which is what exactly?
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, but you are at least
I'm not going to tell you. What you're doing now is part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll wait. We'll wait and see. Now, since you're here, let me get your opinion on the latest trend now in the country. Fix the country. Some are saying fix the country. Some are saying fix yourselves and fix your attitude. Let me take your opinion on that.
Well, frankly, I mean, if you're appointed into leadership or elected into leadership, definitely you have an obligation to the people.
Right.
And that's right. I've heard the arguments about fix yourself first and all that. Mm-hmm. Yes, but there's the Constitution that we all work with.
Right.
Yes. The Constitution has spelled out rules and regulations.
Right.
Yes, and for every leader of this country, you must abide by those rules and regulations.
Right.
Yes, provide basic things for the people equally. Water, electricity, good roads, health, education, whatever. These are basic things that every country that is developing or developed, these are what they need.
Right.
Now, if you fall short in any of these, then you're not doing the right thing.
Okay.
You understand? Right. And so it's definitely would not be wrong on anybody's part to draw your attention to your defects. Yes. This is what you must do for the people.
Right.
You're not doing, and so please do it for us.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
If you're a parent and you have children, your obligation is first
to take care of them.
To take care of them, and then what you also expect of them. You understand?
So in your submission, you're saying that
it is not out of place at all.
No, it's not out of place that the people are requesting that.
It is not out of place. It is their right to do so.
Right.
And you see, humbly, any leadership position person must be willing and ready to yield to it.
Right.
Yes.
Right, that's a brilliant submission by Gideon Aryeequaye. Me mpesi ye begina so bebre ni atwa kwachi. But now let's come to media.
Yes.
What we know that you are a guru in. Now looking at the terrain now. Now it's more, we have more of bloggers, and we have different people, everybody doing their jobs and all of that. So you sitting back and watching, comparing it to your time. Do you think that the ethical the ethics that we need to put in the job, do you think we are doing the right thing or we are deviating?
What I see now is what I would call plantain chips.
Yes, sir. I am critical.
Right. Because, if you're moving in traffic, you see plantain chips of all kinds. There are those ones that are very refined. You taste them, you're chewing plantain chips.
Right.
And there are others that would be sour in your mouth. Our democratic dispensation has brought this about.
Okay.
There's proliferation of the airwaves. Everybody is doing everything.
Right.
People find themselves, especially with the onset of social media, the internet, everybody is everywhere.
Right.
You're at liberty to do so, provided you can get your own what's it called?
Your camera. And
whatever you can get to project yourself, it is there for you. At first, there was regulation. You remember it used to be GTV?
Yes.
Only GTV as a national television, nobody else.
Yes.
And then TV3 popped up.
Right.
And they gave GTV a run for their money.
Right.
And GTV had to sit up and do certain things that they weren't doing before. Who would come to all that. There was nothing like the internet.
No.
Yes, internet only came up. In fact, it became known to us recently.
Right.
Not very recent, but as we can put it. That's right. So many journalism schools have sprung up.
A lot of them.
A
lot of them, right.
Accredited and non-accredited. Those that you would say are doing well, and those that you would say are
not doing so well,
are picking onions around.
Right.
And so it is obvious that you're going to have shambles, you're going to have good products in the system.
Right.
To the extent that people can even pick up their mobile phones and do what they have to do and post it on air.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you have an amalgamation of good and bad. Yes, in the system.
Right.
It is up to you to choose what is right for you.
Okay.
And what is not right for you. When it is not right, it is not right.
Right.
The fact that somebody is projecting out there does not make it right or wrong. You understand?
Right.
But you're discerning enough to be able to decipher the right from the wrong.
The wrong. So then you choose where you want to belong to.
So the YouTubes, the Instagrams. I'm not on Instagram, for example.
Are you on Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter.
Facebook?
Facebook, with a pinch of salt. I decided to be on that with a pinch of salt. Okay. Basically for business. Yes. But then, of course, for other communication. Indeed, it has helped to relocate those you haven't been in touch with for a long time and so on.
Right.
WhatsApp is fantastic. I see other auxiliaries, which are also coming up, as in
Snapchat
and so on. Yes, and so on.
Right.
Well, these are fine. As it's trendy. As the time moves on, you move with time.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
But you're asking about bloggers, and what they do. Everybody's calling themselves bloggers.
Yes.
Sometimes even the language they put out there. You wonder. Wicked.
It
is written for me.
I know.
Right. Yes, but that is it. Initially, we had a training where if you say you're a broadcaster, you're a total broadcaster. You go out there and report. You write a report yourself. Somebody will come and edit your stories for you. Not according to their language, but according to the ethics of the profession.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And this is done so that they don't change your style of writing or your thoughts or the kind of English that you churn out. Because for all you know, your English might be better than your editor.
Right.
So the editor must not edit according to his English or his spoken language or his understanding of the English language. No. Just look in there when you go to journalism school, you talk about the various W's.
Yeah.
See if all the various W's are there.
Where's.
What must be reported has been reported.
Okay.
And then you project it as stuff, as such. And you get to know the scale of an individual if they have to do human interest stories. One that I enjoy so much is about one of my my seniors back at TV3, and on, I think the 25th of December is his birthday, so every 25th he has a story on air, specially
for him.
That's right. There's one that he did on bats. The bats are 37, and it was fantastic.
Wow.
You know, so it depends on the projection. It depends on what you say, and then the English must be good.
Okay.
The English must not just good, must be attractive to the ear. You know, language is beautiful.
Right.
Okay, language is beautiful to the extent that even our local languages, when you're speaking to people and they understand the local languages very well, you know, you can say they pay Nanoa Papa, because you know Nanuatse, you know the person speaks better than you do.
Yes. Yes.
And you need to have this to be able to enjoy reporting or to be able to enjoy journalism or broadcasting in general.
Right.
Something that when you're doing, they would not want to leave you until you finish.
Like you get the attention of the people
you
from
get
beginning to the end.
total attention from beginning to the end.
Okay.
I've heard people say, no, once you start, even when I'm cooking, I need to stop cooking. Otherwise I burn the food. You know, you appreciate it.
Right.
You know, yes, you appreciate it. And you would say thanks to your trainers, because this is what they taught you to do,
right.
And you're doing just that.
Right.
What we enjoyed at the time is the liberalness, if I'm loud, of how we presented our news.
Right. Right.
What I enjoyed most was to make mistakes.
Is it that you try to put your personality in there?
Because in trying to correct the mistakes, it becomes a showbiz, you know. I watch CNN a lot. I watch BBC. I try to watch the elite stations, and I realize that they make a lot of mistakes. Yes, not just fumbling, but outright mistakes. But they correct themselves as they move along.
Okay.
And in language, doing the news is like a conversation. Something has happened, and I'm telling you
what has happened.
If along the line or along the story, I fumble or I make a mistake, I do not come back and so I'll take it again. I'm chatting you.
So I just have to move along.
Move on.
But I learned
Correct
somewhere
yourself.
that you don't have to apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize.
You know, sometimes you say sorry and then you move on. That's what usually they do.
No, you don't necessarily have to say sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The sorry comes in when the mistake is bad. Yeah, especially people don't joke with their titles, especially the chiefs, their names. So you go and mention the name of someone or the name of a place and you butcher it entirely. Your attention is drawn to it, or you come to realize that no, I should have said this rather than that. And then you would have to apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
If there's a chief that comes with his title is, let's say, the 4th, the 5th, the 1st, and you go and say the 16th or whatever, you correct it and you apologize to him.
Okay.
Otherwise, your call will be waiting for you in the newsroom.
In fact, your letter will be waiting for you in the newsroom.
They call. They call the newsroom all the time and say, no, you did not mention my name right at all. So you see, what we're doing is to get pronunciations of people's names and places also right.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We have various tribes amongst us. If there is an Ewe name that you cannot pronounce, you look for an Ewe person to be able to, and you practice it severally to be able to mention the right thing when you get there. And people admire you when you get it right.
Because they know that, oh, this guy is... I quite remember there was one personality on radio, and I've forgotten the name, but she could do all types of language, from Ahusa, Chi, every language. So people liked her for that. I've forgotten her name. I think it's... I think she's an angel now. I've forgotten the name, but On Himawi Eje.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She speaks all kinds of language. So people appreciate. I think people tend to relate more to you when they realize that something that they cherish, you also respect.
That's exactly what.
Into broadcasting,
Everything goes into it.
Right.
And you see, one other thing. You must have the flair for it. You must love it. You cannot force yourself into it. If it's not part of you, it cannot be part of you. Some of the things that you do here, you may practice your script, but there are times when once you go on air, things will come spontaneously.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes, I do.
If you're not cut for it, you cannot do it. The news that we do, there are times that it is done in a rush. There is no time to edit properly, and so we edit as we read. You see?
Yes.
So as they're regulating the prompter for you, our kind of prompter is regulated for us. It's not the pedal type that you step on it to read. I was the person, there's somebody sitting behind the computer and regulating it according to your speed. You pause, they pause, you read, they ring along with you. And so if there's any editing to be done, you do it there.
Off the cuff, in your head.
That is why you must have a fair idea of the story. Or you must be knowledge broadened. You must read a lot. So that if you found something that is not it, you correct it as you're reading, and nobody will have any problems with you.
Because if you go and sit there with no idea about the story and say scripting it so you're wrong, then you'll be found fumbling. Because
if there's an obvious error, the embarrassment comes to you.
And not the editor or whoever wrote it.
At all. It is you they're saying. And they'll say, especially, yes, if they ask me, or if I'm reading and I go and say the president of Togo is probably Obasanjo. Obasanjo has been written, but I should know as a reporter, as a broadcaster, as the anchor, I should know that no is for you. So
you need to be abreast of current affairs.
So as soon as I see that, yes, you need to correct it because nobody sees it might be an oversight or a genuine mistake. You understand?
So let me ask you, what's the most embarrassing moment you've had on the screen before?
Mine. It was a story about. I remember it very, very well. It was a story about an earthquake that happened in Turkey.
Okay.
Yes, and my producer director. At the time, you love Mamata. I love him so much. He teaches well.
Right.
We were competing then with GTV. Our news was at 6:30 then, and GTV will come at 7. And so it was a breaking news that we wanted to be the first to put out there. And so it wasn't on the prompter. I had the script, but I didn't have it on the prompter.
Okay.
What we do is, whatever story is on the prompter is in front of you as well. So if anything happens to the prompter, you can locate where you are and continue. Or stylishly, you can decide to take it as you take it here, take it there.
Right.
That's up to you.
Right.
And then just when the montage had been rolled, and I had been queued to start, I had done the headlines and included that one, and I was supposed to have taken that as the very first story
before any other.
I couldn't find the story.
So what did you do?
We are advised to move on to the next story, which tape will be on standby, or which insert will be on standby.
Right.
So as they take that story, then you sort yourselves out
and find
whilst the voiceover is running.
Right.
I take the next story, the visual is not rolled, and he kept on reminding in my ear, no, the Turkey story, the earthquake story, take the earthquake story, I couldn't take it because I didn't have it. And I couldn't say on air that I didn't have it. I couldn't give any indication that I didn't have it.
But you had read the story already.
I had read the story. No, the story came as I was ready.
Oh, okay.
And he gave it to me. He was supposed to have given it to me there. Apparently, he had come with it. I had seen it, but it wasn't on the prompter. And so we played. I took about 5 stories in a row without any visuals because he was bent on taking the first story. He wasn't ready to take any other story. Eventually, Conti realizes that we had a problem, and so they had to come in with a break. So when we went for the break, he rushed to the studio and said, "Gideon, what happened to you? The turkeys." I said, "I don't have it." apparently, after he had come to indicate what I needed to do, and he was going back to post, he had taken the script with him.
Oh my God. So
You see.
after the break, you still didn't have the story?
No, after, of course, we had sorted out during the break. So he realized he had taken the script with him. I didn't have it. So there was no story.
To read.
Yeah, if the story was on the prompter, I could have taken it.
Right.
But I had to take it from the hard copy, which I didn't have.
Okay.
Which he, took along with him, not deliberately anyway.
Okay. Right.
So they came back, and I eventually took that story. But I looked so stupid on air.
Like you didn't know what you're about.
So stupid. I didn't know what. That was the time that I realized that no, you can't take anything for granted. Because this, you read the story. You're supposed to roll a visual. No visual is rolled, and then you read another story. No visual is rolled, and you look stupid because once you finish reading the story, you wait for the visuals to roll, and it's not rolling.
And so you are sitting,
and so you're sitting there.
You don't smile.
And normally what we do is you try and play around to see the story will not roll, and then you go and take the next one. And you cannot say anything to anybody because your director has not asked you to. You see, most of the time, if we talk about certain visuals or certain stories and the visuals are not ready,
right,
or we cannot show them for some reason, then you get to tell them that, look, we would show it to you in due course,
okay,
or in subsequent bulletins, and that's excusable.
Okay.
But in this case, I didn't know what to do because I hadn't been communicated to.
So was this always your first love, or I don't know, how did you find yourself?
Well, I had no idea I was going to go into this.
Are you serious?
Oh yes, I had no idea I was going to go into this. I just heard of. I overheard a conversation, two ladies in a taxi. Yes, and they had been to auditioning at TV3. I think it was the second day. I think the auditioning was done over a period of, I think, 4 or 5 days. That's right. So they on the second day, they had been to the audition. They were discussing it.
Right.
Yes. So when I heard, I didn't ask anything, but I listened attentively, and I realized that the auditioning was still ongoing. So let me go and give it a try.
But you've never had thoughts of being a journalist or a broadcaster?
No. I did science.
So you just had the conversation in the car, and then you said, "Let me just go."
That's how it started.
Wow.
That's how it started. And when I got in there, you should see the people there. Yes, loads and loads of people.
People who have gone to school. People.
Oh yes, they've gone to school. If you see their files, they see rich CVs.
Right.
The TV3 does auditioning because first they want to test your voice decibel.
Right.
They want to test your diction. They want to look at your disposition. Not fine boy or fine girl, but if you look good on television, right, if you look good on television, you can be ugly and still look good on television. Your mannerisms on television and all that,
right,
and how well you can take the test if you have to.
Okay.
So it's a pretty strenuous auditioning,
right,
where you're taken through certain phases for you to clear
before you qualify. So when you are there, they know you qualify.
The very last of it will be to go into the studio and be doing a mock run for people for everybody to see.
Right. So when it comes to TV, how you look, does it play a key role?
Well, not how you look as a person, but how you look on TV.
Okay. No, what was the difference?
Because obviously, we've seen presenters who physically, without due respect to them, are not attractive. Yes, that you wouldn't even look at twice.
Right.
Yeah, but they come on TV and their presentation is excellent, their style is fantastic, and you love them.
And so that attracts you to sit and watch through. Okay.
Actually, and even beyond TV, when you see them, you give them respect, because in spite of the looks, the person goes on air and does it like nobody else's business.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So that's sort about it. You must have absolute control over what you're doing.
Okay. Okay.
If there's a subject that you're treating, you must be knowledgeable in the subject. Your questions must be up to the point. Don't embarrass yourself. See, if you're interviewing people,
right,
especially these days, I see and hear that a lot on our radio stations, and they become attacking.
Like they're trying to attack the
You have guests that you want clarifications from. You're not a judge. Whatever you are, you're only there for clarifications, for the benefit of your listener and your audience.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
what you need to do is to try and get the best out of him. If the questions you're asking, if the person is evading those questions, you redirect them and bring them on track.
But you see, these days, you see a lot that when people ask questions, sometimes the guest may say that, can we move on to the next question? I don't want. And they keep on.
You cannot do that. If a guest is not comfortable with a particular question, no, leave that to the judgment of the audience, of the viewers. Leave that to their judgment. They can tell the person is dodging your question, and that is enough.
So you don't have to make.
You don't have to.
Right.
Either he reserves the right to talk about it or not because he's not under oath.
Okay. Okay.
You understand?
Right.
So if the person says, let's move on, if you persuade a little bit and you're not successful, move on. Let your listeners be the judge. Okay. You know.
Right.
What is even more embarrassing, but they haven't noticed, is when you're interviewing them, they're talking, and you're not listening. You're not listening because you're looking at the next question you want to ask. Your concentration is on your subsequent questions. You're not listening to what he's talking about. Most of the time, some of the guests can be so brilliant, they're so good at what they do, that you ask them just one question, and the sort of answers they give you totally it would deal with all your subsequent questions.
That's very true. That's very true.
And you're just there. You don't know what to do next. You see? So if they talk about something and you still go ahead and ask them and they come to tell you that, oh, as I said earlier.
That means say, oh, my answer question needed that.
It means you did not listen.
Right. Right.
If any guest tells you that, as I said earlier, you did not listen.
Okay.
So these are the pros and cons
of media.
Of media.
Right.
And so it is up to you, whether it's on Instagram or whatever, whether it's a blogger or whatever, it's up to you to decipher which one to take and which one not to take.
Okay.
Some of them are pure insults, some of them and so on. It's up to you.
Okay.
There's liberalization of everything. And we must also know that there's a clear difference between the traditional way of doing broadcasting and these other ways. There's a clear difference.
Okay.
Yes. You cannot afford to do certain things on a national television and so on. You can have your way on internet or whatever. So these are some of the things.
You just have to know the difference. Now let's look at the trend now before we go swiftly. Now on social media, when you look at trends, you said you are not on Instagram, you are not on Twitter, Facebook, a pinch of salt. I don't know about Snapchat.
I haven't been there. No.
But then now we have a lot of people in our society who wants to be popular, and so they use other means to do that, i.e., paying bloggers or doing something that will get the people talking, and later come and say, "Oh, man, shada na planned na way." Then it's like a publicity stunt to get the fame and all of that. Celebrities are doing it, common floor members are doing it and all of that. What's your take on that?
Well, it's common knowledge, the bad news sells. You know, the person wants popularity, isn't it?
Right.
So whatever the person can do to get that fame, they can do it.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Bad news sells, sex sells, and so on. So if these are the things that they will want to put in, to make it attractive, for people to stay glued to them, or for them to remain relevant.
Right.
That's their choice. You can't begrudge them for it.
Okay. That is beautifully said by Gideon. Now, before you go, I'm sure you watch the news. You watch CNN, you watch Ghana as well. I want to know your top 3 news anchors here in Ghana.
Top 3?
5. Yeah, top 5.
Hey, 5.
I'm in my room. Top 5 news anchors here in Ghana.
Currently or in the past?
Currently.
If Nanaba was still doing the news, I would have chosen Nanaba.
Right.
Yes, I mean, that's an easy choice. Israel is an easy choice. And so I don't even want to include them. Okay. They should go and sit at the back.
But they paid their dues.
Backstage. The current one, I appreciate this guy on TV3, Alfredo Kamsi.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
If I was there and I was choosing newscasters, there was an audition I was choosing, I would have chosen him fast.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because of the emphasis he places on the news. It makes you understand the news. News is emphasis, and especially the undulating of the language. You know, language is said that it goes up and comes down, and it makes it beautiful to the ear, and when you listen and you understand it.
Right.
Some are like this. You will not understand anything. Some, mind you, the news that we read, most of them come without punctuations.
So you have to know where
You
the
have to
punctuation
know
is, comma,
how,
question.
Exactly.
Right.
You only find a full stop at the end of a sentence. You would have to fuse in your own thing.
Right.
Yes. And so I guess I would have chosen him.
Alfred. And
Alfred. Yes. Natalie was doing
good.
very well.
Right.
Yes, because for her it comes naturally.
Right.
Yeah. It's also natural when the language comes naturally to you.
Right.
Yeah. And then I just noticed there's a new guy at Metro now. Yes, I've forgotten his name. There's a new guy at Metro. Instantly, I liked him.
The first time you watched him.
Instantly.
Oh, okay. I wish we could get the
Yes,
name, but
the name.
don't have it.
The name has escaped me, but a very fine boy with some Kufuor eyes.
Hey, Kufuor eyes be like
you
that.
know, yes, yes. And then which other ones?
4. Akatu. So say 1 by 3. It's
Akatu. On the news, who else? No, this would have been my strong 3.
This would have been your strong 3.
Yes.
Right. Alfred, Natalie, and the Metro guy, we don't know his name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. He's also a veteran. So I don't want to include the veterans.
The veterans.
Yes.
Somebody
Roland Walker, I don't want to include him. Yes. I want to look at those,
the
new ones.
Right.
Yes. I want
so
to
at
look,
least top 3
that one you can better assess them.
Right.
Yeah. The old ones, yeah, they've had their time.
Right.
They won awards, plenty awards. Yeah, they've had their
Say,
time.
maybe able to be able to
Exactly.
everybody. Now, do you have any political ambitions?
Oh, I've always had a political ambition.
I just wanted you to admit it.
I've always had a political
I just
ambition. You know,
wanted you to admit it.
I'm a politician. Take it or leave it. I'm a politician now.
Right,
Yes,
right.
because once you have ventured, yes, I mean you can't scrape it off you.
When you do, you
yes,
just have to
because
be
I attempted to go to Parliament. I couldn't go beyond the primaries. That was in 2012.
Right.
And then President Mahama appointed me as the deputy chief executive of the Ghana Tourist Development Company.
Right.
And then he upgraded me to the substantive CEO for the Ghana Tourism Authority.
Right.
And that's where the current president said, thank you, and then go and sit back and let somebody else also do it.
So what's your plan now?
Once it's a political appointment, you're a politician. You understand? I mean, before then, nobody knew my inclination. Nobody knew which party I belonged. Those who knew, but those casual ones did not know. It came as a surprise to them.
Right.
Especially when you could not detect it in the course of my interviews. There was no way I would unnecessarily be on you for anybody to suggest to me
that you belong to this party or not.
And I did it right.
Right.
You understand? So there's always a plan B. Yes. I found tourism interesting.
Right.
And so basically I'm doing more of tourism now. Yes, and it's very, very interesting. Look, if you placed a little premium on tourism in Ghana, we won't look at oil. Yes, because even for those countries that have a lot of oil like Dubai and so on, tourism is actually their highest income earner.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
You can't go wrong. There's a lot. Everything around us is tourism. And that is why when COVID came, that industry most suffered. You see, hotels went down, everything went dead. Right. Look, if you join a taxi or trotro as tourism, even if you found rubbish, and no matter the kind of eyesore it is still tourism. Because there are certain places with all due respect, Brazil, that are beyond the eye. You wouldn't want to. Right. Yes, but people would still want to go and see it. Yes, and it would interest you to know of the kind of places that we have here back home, where it's nothing to write home about. That is where when guests come they play.
They want to see.
You see?
Right.
It's not the elite places, because if you're talking about the elite places, they have loads of that. They want to experience other things.
Right.
But here in Ghana, we have too much to sell as far as tourism is concerned. Not just in Ghana, in Africa. We have the big cars, we have the parks, we have the heritage sites. Yeah. Yes. The story of slavery, for example, I mean, you cannot go anywhere without it. And we have the history here where it started and so on. Like they say, the black man is his own enemy. It was our own people that sold us into slavery and so on. And so tourism is like
it's very broad.
My friend and I are venturing into a very interesting area, which I know will be popular in no time. It was started a bit because of the COVID. But it would be very interesting.
You mind sharing it with us?
It's cruising. Yes, cruising. I mean, we were doing elsewhere. And now we want to do the West Coast. It's not within the West Coast. When people say they're going on the Doddy Island, they see how excited people are. But when you go on the Doddy Island itself, there's nothing on the island. If we really want tourism to thrive, you can go and build a whole city out there on the Doddy Island. So when people go, they can decide to spend. And
stay there.
Stay there and spend. You don't just go and come back. You understand? So there's a lot. So tourism is interesting. Apart from that, he's a farmer as well. Yes, I loved agriculture. Right from infancy.
So what are you farming? What exactly do you do now?
Vegetables. Yes.
Farming, you never say starting your farming because it's lucrative. But now we've heard a lot of, I think I was watching the news the other time where farmers were complaining about irrigation and all of that. Are you facing such problems?
Obviously, you can't rely on rain, natural rains. You need to have irrigation and so on. Yes, mine is not like the large scale, and so certain things are easily reachable. Yes, but if you really want to talk about their problems, it's quite on a large scale. Yes, but it's an interesting area. Look, if everybody was going into tourism or agriculture, we wouldn't have a problem, especially when we would have enough for ourselves and for exports, and everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine, says Gideon. I have to let you go now, but before you go, your final words to my viewers. Today is a holiday, and it's Salah for the Muslim brothers and sisters. Your final words today, before I let you go.
Barakat Salah in advance. I love religion, and so it doesn't matter to me if you're a Muslim or a Christian. And for us, in our part of the world, it's beautiful that we fuse everything. We have Muslims, we have Christian prayers, we have the traditional prayers. We coexist, and that is why when you hear certain stories come up, you get troubled. But it's a holiday. So I can only wish them the very best. Yes. This is the Prophet Muhammad's time. Make the best of it. Indeed, when you go out there, I beg you, still observe the COVID regulations. Make merry, but don't overdo it. Because sometimes we overdo it. Don't overdo it. And for the viewers out there, stay with Bryt TV. Stay with Bryt TV. Before Gideon goes, top 5 music. We are going to play that for you. Top 5. You say, wow. You see, so the top 5 musicians that you dig in Ghana. No big joke. I love music. And everybody who loves music will find it difficult choosing any top
5. I mean your favorite 5.
In no particular order. Yes, because I don't want to put anybody above anybody. In no particular order, Kojenchi.
Number 1.
Daddy Lumba.
Obviously.
Yes. I'm looking at not just the music and instrumentation. I'm looking at mannerisms and everything. This lady in gospel.
Dinah Hamilton.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yes. For the Kwame Eugenes and the Kiddies, and they're on the same scale for me. They do the same kind of music. And so I want to put all of them in one category.
Kwame Eugene Kiddy.
Kwame Eugene Kiddy.
Everybody.
That gentleman with the big boots.
Kim Promise.
I love him.
The gentleman with the big
honestly, if I have to choose, amongst these guys I have to choose, I would choose him. I love him.
You love Kim Promise, the gentleman with the big boots. Thank you so much for coming. I've enjoyed your company, every bit of it. I've learned a lot as well. And I was honored to sit here. Alright guys, so we're leaving you with a beautiful one from Kim Promise. That's what Gideon Suodo, the gentleman with the big boots. So this one is for you. Barricade Salah, everybody.